As the season's moving along, it's starting to get a little bit cooler out here in my well-ventilated space. And that means that I'm going to have to start thinking about moving my laser engraver indoors. So I am going to take some cheap lumber and a few other supplies and build a bit of an enclosure for it, just using plywood and hardboard, and I'm going to figure out how to vent it to the outside world so that it can live in the house and not set off the smoke detectors. That is what today's project is. So some quick measurements. It will fit on this 2-foot width of a chunk of plywood here. And the machine itself is about 26 and a hair. So if I go 27 inches, then that should give me a bit of space. If I measure up from the base here, I've got about 8 inches, 7.5 to there. So 8 inches will clear that. So that's my height. So 27 inches takes me to there, and then I can get a couple of 8-inch slices out of this, which will give me a front and a back. And I can fill in the sides with this thin hardboard material. Some might call it masonite. It's a little bit different. It's only 2-3 millimeters thick, something like that. So that should be fine. It doesn't need to be structural. It just needs to enclose this. And then I'll also use that for the top. And that's going to leave me a couple of gaps here to fill, but I need some gaps anyway for the cables going in and for access to the controls and for the air hose to go in, the air control to go in, and the air adjustment access. I think I'm just going to leave sort of slots available there and over and here. I think I'll leave that exposed completely. And yeah, that's going to let air in, which is good because I need some air to come in to match the volume of air that's going out from the fan. And the fan is just going to be this 110 VAC fan that I salvaged from an old equipment cabinet at work. And it's going to connect up to this just flexible vinyl duct that's 20 feet long or a little over 6 meters long. So that should be able to get me from wherever I want to set this thing in the house out to a window. And I did a little bit of 3D modeling and came up with this little adapter, which will bolt right on there and adapt to this. And I printed a second one so that I can go onto another piece of wood that I can just stuff in a window. Hopefully, that should be everything. I'm sure I've forgotten about some things, but we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. So that's my 27 inches back to there. I'm doing this in Imperial because that's what the wood is, and it's just easier. If I was in a place where they sold wood in metric dimensions, then I would clearly be wanting to use metric dimensions, but it's kind of a weird legacy of the past that our wood and a lot of our construction materials are still sold in old Imperial units, but speeds and temperatures and stuff like that are done in metric. I don't know. It's just the way it is. So I think the next step is going to be just screwing these together. And yeah, I know this is not probably the best way to do it, but I never claimed to be a woodworker. Matter of fact, I've specifically claimed not to be a woodworker a few times. So hopefully that will be strong enough to hold. I've just drawn a line there to show where the edge of my material is. So I'm just going to carry on doing this all the way along and hoping for the best. I'm not gluing it because I'm fairly confident that I'm going to do something wrong and we'll have to take it apart. So if I've done that right, that should just fit over top here with a little bit of room to spare. That is tight. That is too tight. I did that wrong. What did I do wrong? Oh, it shouldn't be like this. It should be like this. See, I told you I was going to make mistakes. Now this is how it's supposed to go, like that. Now then it occurs to me, before I get this side fully screwed down, probably should A, see if it fits, and then B, see where my cutouts have to be, so that I don't have to completely disassemble and reassemble the thing again and again. Yeah, fit check, done. Now then, this part, so it looks like the front control panel comes over to about there. And, I wonder if I can leave the top on it, maybe for holding the roof. Maybe. Yeah, because I don't want to cut too much out, because realistically, I don't want too much airflow. I want that the incoming airflow to approximately match what's going out, just so that I don't have smoke escaping. And I think that should work. Could I have cut that with the laser itself? Actually, probably. But this, for this kind of carpentry, was faster. And I think it does the job. So now there's this piece back here. And yeah, I know it doesn't go all the way to the front. I'll deal with that later. I'll just do the same thing to mount this as I've done every other time. Although I'm eyeballing it, I didn't bother to draw a line because I'm lazy. And then the same again at the back on the opposite side, except I think this is where I'm going to put my fan, somewhere back here. I think, probably want it I want as far down as I can get it, as far up as I can get it. Probably as far up, like that. Probably as close to the back as I can get it, because most of the air is going to be coming in over there. So cross draft, that and that are going to mount there. Actually, I probably want it to go right to the back. No, there would be good enough. And hopefully this hardboard is strong enough to hold it. But I think in order to mount this, I am going to use the laser to cut this out, because I have the CAD for this, which matches the holes to this. So I will just go into my CAD, extract just the sketch for the bottom of this part, export it to an SVG file, take that into Inkscape, remove the outer border because I don't want to cut that. I just want to cut the 4 holes and the big hole. And I'll export that to an SVG. And then I'll open up that file in Laser Grubble out here. I think I want it to be, yeah, that's reasonable. Mostly full power, sure, create. There it is. Check the framing on the laser. I think I want it up about there. And how far over are you? Way over there. I'll adjust it a little bit so that it's kind of in the corner where I want it. Now, I don't know if I'm going to want 1 or 2 passes, but I'll start with 1 pass and see what happens. We're at about 80% power. And what did I say? 500 millimeters per minute. So without moving it, did it cut right through? Not quite. I'm going to run it again, and it'll just retrace its steps, and hopefully this time it'll burn all the way through. Okay, that kind of looks like it actually went all the way through. Yeah, the holes dropped out, so that's good. Oh, not perfectly, but close enough I can just break that out. Huh, wonder why that... Oh, there's a bit of a curve in this, so it was a little closer to the laser over there, maybe not quite focused. Okay. Yeah, that looks just about perfect. Nice. Where is that going to land? Oh, that's going to be good. Okay. I don't want that screw to interfere with the fit of the fan. As much as this is somewhat unplanned, I still don't want to be causing myself problems, you know. So now it's just fiddly bits. I'll just mark this guy up here, about like that, about like that. Cut that chunk out, and then I'll be able to access that, but all the air won't be coming in, just a little bit. Something like that. A couple of screws into that just to hold it in place. Well, again, I'm not building a house here. This is just a box. In this front corner, I'm not sure. I'm going to do something similar. Probably. About there. About there and about there. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, not perfect, but it'll do. Oh, wait. That fits better. Yeah, I've got access to the SD card and the power switch and everything else there. And so I think with my 3 cutouts, this one, and one over there, I think that will give me enough air coming in to match the volume of this, and maybe a little bit more, but I think that will do the job. I'll just bang this on just like you've seen me do 6 or 7 times already. All right, so the last bit of carpentry is just to put the lid on, which, you know, obviously just sits like that. But I did spring for a couple of hinges, so I think I'll put those on the back. Yeah, I think that's going to work nicely. Maybe center them up approximately. Now, the other thing I could do is cut a window into the top of here, but I would need some clear plexiglass or something, and I couldn't easily find a cheap surplus supply of that. Admittedly, I haven't been looking for very long. This is just kind of a spur of the moment project. But if I can find some, then I can cut that in there. Otherwise, I can just line everything up initially with the framing mode, which doesn't make any smoke or anything, and then drop the lid and go. I could also put maybe an ESP32 camera, or cheap webcam inside there. That might be an option. We'll worry about that later. Right now, I just want to get this thing buttoned up so I can actually use it in the house. And there we go. That ought to do it, at least for now. I said I'll take it inside and I'll do some more of the mechanical bits, but at least I got the dusty stuff done out in the garage. So I forgot to cut the holes in the piece that goes in the window. So just as a test, I've got the fan temporarily propped up there. And we've definitely got airflow coming in through all the places. So that's good. I think even this little gap up here has got airflow going in rather than out. So I think it's going to do the job. Well, this part is just kind of fiddly assembly, so I'm going to do it sitting down just because, you know, I'm old and I don't want to hurt my back. So I think some of these screws should be able to do it, I think. I'll mount up this outdoor part first. And when I say outdoor part, this is the part that I'm going to jam into the window and send the stank outside. So this is just a matter of screwing it all together. Hopefully everything fits the way I designed it. These nut drivers are starting to earn their keep. That's good. I'll screw that onto the output side of that, which is this side, and then I'll mount that onto the box. Nice and simple. And now to just repeat the same thing on the outside of here. The hard part, I think, is going to be just getting this to hold in place while I'm screwing it on. But shouldn't be too ugly. I do want to put a washer on just so that I don't squish into the wood and damage it, because this wood is not the strongest stuff in the world, as I'm sure you know if you've used it in the past. Now I'm glad that I put this as close as I did to there, because I think it's going to give it a little bit of reinforcement, adds a little bit of strength to it, but only time will tell. I may end up having to replace these side panels with real wood rather than this hardboard stuff, but again, time will tell. And this project, as I mentioned at the beginning, is just quick and dirty, cheap available materials just to get the job done and get moving on. Once I discover what is bad about this design, other than the ugliness, then I'll upgrade it to something a little bit nicer over time. But in the meantime, hopefully this will just do me for at least this winter anyway, to get me going. That is so nice having the CAD model of this this fan mount, to be able to just tighten those on there so easily. It fits just perfectly. I like it. Of course, it was a really simple CAD model to make, but that's good too, because simple is my CAD level right now. Get on there. Okay, done. That's not going anywhere, I hope, he said confidently. Now for what could be the fiddliest part, getting this flex ducting on here without causing me all kinds of strife and stress. Okay, I stand corrected. That was super simple. And normally you'd want to hold that with a hose clamp or something, but I'm just going to string a set of tie wraps, zip ties, I guess, together, and just hold it on like that. That should do the job well enough. So here is one of the two basement windows. This is just the easier one to get at for video. I'm normally going to use a different window, but for now, let's just use this one. They're both the same size. Slide that guy open. This just kind of fits in there. Close that back down, wedge it with a couple of pieces of foam. And just like at the other end, slip this guy on and tie wrap it on. Now watch, this is not going to be nearly, oh no, easy. So now, just a matter of putting everything together for the cutter. Engraver. Technically it's not a cutter, even though I have been using it as one. Slide this all the way to the front, and I think most of the way to the side here, so there's sort of some air can get around there. This just kind of sits in there. That's good. Now connect everything up. Power cable for the air pump goes in here. Air pump down on the floor, out of the way. Connect up the hose. AC adapter plugs into there. USB cable plugs into there. So now I guess we should test it out. So plug in the fan. That's a little noisy. Let's hit go on this. Go. There we go. There it is doing its thing. And just let it roll and check it when it's done. No, that's not direct laser light that you're seeing through there. That is reflected around in there. So it's not probably not dangerous, but even still, I've got my eyes a fair bit above it, so I can't actually see the blue like you can through the camera. There, it's done. That was quick. Send the laser head home just to get it on my way. That's a pretty good engrave, I think. I just had that set really low just to see what it would do, but yeah, that is, actually that's almost come through the back too. If I'd added probably about 10 or 15%, I would have cut it out, which would have been cool too. And there we have it, my kind of janky, quick and dirty laser enclosure. Keeps the smoke out of the building, which is the important part. Keeps it mechanically shielded from my eyes, also important. And I think just promotes general, peace in the house so that I can actually have my laser in here. I don't have to go out to the garage all the time. And yeah, I think this is a win. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the sponsor who sent me the laser engraver a few weeks ago. I do appreciate that. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments, down below in the comment section as usual. Though, go gently on my carpentry skills. I said at the beginning I'm not a woodworker, and I think I've proven that. Thanks for watching. Bye.